It appears as though we in California are getting our own Bill C-16. This new bill is called the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Long-Term Care Facility Residents Bill of Rights, which is not only a mouthful, but is also some newspeak jargon to dress up the seriousness of the bill itself. This bill will make it illegal to willfully and repeatedly refuse to use a transgender resident's preferred name or pronoun and can lead to a $1,000 fine and up to 1 year in prison.
Governor Jerry Brown is now pitching from left field. Fox News reports California healthcare workers who willfully and repeatedly decline to use a senior transgender patient's preferred name or pronouns could face punishments ranging from a fine to jail time under a newly signed law. But that's just the appetizer for Governor Moonbeam's appetite for self-destruction.
So far, the Hep A virus has killed 17 and infected nearly 500 in the county. Nearly 2/3 are homeless or drug users, but the rest are from the general population. The advice remains, if you have yet to get your vaccination for Hep A, you need to get it.
The hepatitis A virus is highly contagious, and it is transmitted person to person by the fecal-oral route. The fact that while this is a broad concern, there is a targeted subgroup, a very focused subgroup in our community that is at high risk, for which we have the greatest concern. Include the homeless, IV and illicit drug users, men who have sex with men, individuals having sexual contact with someone who has the hepatitis A infection, people with chronic liver disease, and individuals who have clotting factor disorders.
Now, the signing of carefree, dangerous blood donation legislation during a massive hepatitis A outbreak in San Diego that could actually spur a larger statewide epidemic breaks all the standards of common sense, safety, and human rights.
Canada has lost its mind. Canada! Oh, Canada! What are you thinking? Canada's Senate passed the Justin Trudeau Liberals' Transgender Rights Bill. Critics warn that under Bill C-16, Canadians who deny gender theory could be charged with hate crimes, jailed, and compelled to undergo anti-bias training. This also, by the way, is similar to a bill, like Canada's new law, which lets the government take children away if their parents don't accept their gender identity.
The Boy Scouts will soon be adding girls to their ranks. The announcement today is likely to make its sister organization, the Girl Scouts, unhappy campers.
New reports show gender reversal surgery is on the rise. That is, transgender people who have had the sex change surgery, regretting it and wanting to reverse the surgery. It gets even worse. A university in the UK allegedly turned down funding for research on reversal surgery because it might be potentially too politically incorrect. Now, this is astonishing and certainly something, if the left cares about transgender people, that we should study and we should discuss. The mainstream media won't touch that story.
This morning, a Detroit area mom has a big decision to make after a judge ordered her to get her 9.5-year-old son vaccinated by 9 a.m. Wednesday morning or go to jail.
I don't know how long she's willing to put me in there for. You know, it could be a week, it could be 30 days.
Rebecca Brado says when her son was little, she and her now former husband agreed to spacing out his vaccines.
It wasn't until they started grouping vaccines that I chose to no longer vaccinate.
She claims her ex was fine with that until last year when, according to her, he changed his mind, wanting to follow a regular vaccination schedule instead. Brado refuses. That decision has her at the center of a legal battle with her son's father, James Horn. The court sided with him, ordering Brado last November to continue vaccinations. While the state of Michigan does allow parents to opt their children out of certain vaccinations for non-medical reasons, the American Academy of Pediatrics says vaccines have been part of the fabric of our society for decades and are the most significant medical innovation of our time. Vaccines are safe, vaccines are effective, vaccines save lives.
I would rather go to jail for standing up for what I believe in than vaccinating my child.
The union representing thousands of nurses here is suing the hospital now, trying to block a policy that requires all employees be vaccinated for the flu. Now, that new policy mandates that all hospital workers must be vaccinated annually. There are exceptions for medical or religious reasons. Employees who choose not to get the shot have to wear face masks when they're around patients. But the Massachusetts Nurses Association says employees could be terminated for declining the vaccine under the policy. They say that is unfair and unlawful. The CDC recommends that everyone older than 6 get an annual flu vaccine. They say it reduces the risk of the flu by 40 to 60%. A hospital spokeswoman telling The Globe, quote, "We believe that mandating the vaccine will create the safest possible environment for our patients, visitors, and staff." That is spokeswoman Lori Schroth. Now, ultimately, the new policy is set to take effect on Sunday.
Japanese scientists have created eggs that could help fight serious diseases, including cancer. The researchers from National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology say they've genetically engineered hens that lay eggs containing drugs. The eggs were developed using genome editing technology on chicken DNA to produce a type of protein called interferon, which is used to treat hepatitis, multiple sclerosis, and other illnesses. According to the Yomiuri Shimbun, researchers first introduced genes that produce interferon beta into the precursors of chicken sperm. The cells were then used to fertilize eggs and create hens inheriting those genes. That way, the genetically engineered birds can lay eggs containing the disease-fighting agent. 3 hens are now laying eggs almost every day, and the team hopes the breakthrough will eventually drive down the cost of cancer treatment.
House Republicans have pushed forward a bill that would ban abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy. The pain-capable Unborn Child Protection Act is a victory for pro-life advocates. It recognizes that a fetus can feel pain by the time it's 20 weeks. Under the act, abortion providers will be penalized and could be sentenced to prison if they perform an abortion. President Trump has thrown his support behind the bill. It will now move forward to the Senate for approval before getting his desk for a signature.
Sydney, like most Australian cities, is watched continuously. Australia's Prime Minister wants to know in real time who the cameras are watching. In Canberra on Thursday, he persuaded leaders of Australia's state to sign up for what he calls a very important 21st century tool necessary for keeping people safe. A database of photographs to allow real-time facial recognition.
I mean, imagine the power of being able to identify a person suspected of being involved in terrorist activities walking into an airport, walking into a sporting stadium.
Most Australian adults have driving licences, and its 8 states and territories hold copies and details of who's in their photographs. The Prime Minister wants all those handed over to add to the federal government's own list of photos submitted for passports. The idea is to know who is where, when. That could stop future attacks, like the 2014 siege by a gunman in a central Sydney cafe. Smartphones have the technology to recognise faces. What's significant about Australia's plan is its scale. Potentially hundreds of thousands of cameras streaming live video to a computer holding a huge database of images. It's controversial, raising concerns about privacy and mass surveillance.
We need to be clear at the outset that where measures are enacted in the terrorism context, that's not necessarily where they're going to stay. They can have implications much more broadly than that to the criminal regime more generally.
It is, though, the facial recognition database that is getting the most attention, and the concern that what could start as a rarely used tool to spot so-called terrorists could mark a big step forward in mass surveillance.